Welcome to Ayurveda and Spirituality with your host, Alakananda Ma, a renowned Ayurvedic expert and a graduate of a top London medical school. She is the principal of Alundi Ayurveda Gurukula, a unique apprenticeship-style school in Boulder, Colorado. She is a spiritual mother, teacher, flower essence maker, and storyteller. Join us as we uncover the timeless principles of Ayurveda, discover practical tips for enhancing vitality, and explore the deeper dimensions of spirituality that intertwine with the ancient science of life.
Namaste. So today we are going to talk about thoughts and your meditation practice. At first, the yogi feels his mind is tumbling like a waterfall. In mid-course, like the Ganges, it flows on slow and gentle. In the end, it is a great, vast ocean where the lights of sun and mother merge in one. And this is the Ganges, Tilopa's song to Naropa, and it is translated from the only one sky on the Tantric way of Tilopa's Song of Mahamudra by Osho. I love that translation. So, how do we lasso the wild horse or deal with the tumbling waterfall? When we begin our path of meditation, it really does seem like the mind is like a young wild horse, completely untamed. Our thoughts are tumbling like a waterfall. One thought just keeps crowding on another. So the first step of the path is just we have to get the ability to sit still for as long as it takes to eat a meal or sip a cup of tea. So about 20 minutes. These days, what with our phones, our social media, our email, and so on, we're always surrounded by so many stimuli. We're just not accustomed to doing nothing. There's always so many distractions. Email, Facebook, Twitter, instant messaging, the radio, the television, YouTube, newspapers, shopping, and our ubiquitous phone. So when we sit to meditate, first thing we have to do is turn off the radio, the phone, the television, and the computer. Just sit still and you'll be fine, right? Oh dear. We've just learned that Facebook, X, used to be called Twitter, and our iPhone are nothing compared to the ingenuity of our own mind. It was our mind that created all these distractions. I literally got distracted for 10 minutes getting ready to record this. It was our mind that created these distractions, and it's our mind that perpetuates them the moment we try to sit still and do nothing. After a few minutes, maybe you'll remember something important you forgot to do, and it just can't wait. It's only been 10 minutes. You're up and doing something already. So if you want to tame the wild horse, first you've got to lasso it. So it'll learn that it can't run whenever it wants. Offer our rampant thoughts a gentle rope. Some people like to use a mantra. In our tradition, we simply work with the breath. To give the mind an object of awareness is like roping the wild horse. You'll still wander off into thoughts, but now you have something to come back to. You come back to the breath. The pigeon on the mast of the ship flies off here and there, but it always returns to the ship for food and water. Your mind may be wandering here and there, but it'll always return to the breath. The next step, we have to start to make friends with our mind. Once our mind starts to settle and we get accustomed to returning to the breath, then we've begun to get a little bit of concentration, a little bit of peacefulness. We can sit a little bit longer and bring the mind gently back to the breath. The wild horse is now accustomed to the rope. So now we have to get to know the horse. For a real master doesn't dominate the horse. Real horse training is a partnership, and it's based on mutual trust and respect. Having the blessing of a human birth means you've been blessed with a lively human mind. Our mind is so agile. It can travel the world faster than the speed of light. It can travel through time. Really amazing. So let's begin to befriend the mind. What kind of thoughts are tumbling in your waterfall? Well, there are basically, as you watch the flow of thoughts, you'll see there are two categories of thoughts. Thoughts about the past, thoughts about the future. Thoughts about the past, memories, and maybe it comes with anxiety or guilt. I still can feel guilty about mixing up a girl's name when I was 8. Um, Guilt, anxiety and guilt about things we did or didn't do. Then we have our thoughts about the future, wishing, hoping, planning. And again, there can be a lot of anxiety about outcomes. The moment we're thinking, we've left the present and we've gone into the past or we've gone into the future. So, after we start to notice how our mind wanders into the past and future, now let's start to be more specific, noticing the texture of our thoughts, the quality of our thoughts. What about the Vata thoughts? The airy Vata quality in the mind loves to fantasize about all the things it wants. I want ice cream. I want to go to Hawaii. I want to get a new car. I want a new boyfriend. Vata brings a lot of thoughts that fixate on craving, images, fantasies of things we want to get, and anxiety, Vata anxiety about not getting them. And it's the anxiety that speeds our mind up to such a Vata pace. What about Pitta? Pitta is hot and fiery. Pitta is driving thoughts about the things we don't want. I'm mad about this. I'm angry about this. I'm irritated about this. I'm frustrated about this. I hate when this happened. We have so many thoughts based on aversion, anger, and irritation about not being able to get rid of the things that we don't want. There's so much annoyance that we can't eliminate unpleasant things that heats the mind up. So now we've got a raging pitta fire. The vata's going with the craving, the wanting, the anxiety of not getting what we want. Pitta's going with the anger, the irritation, the annoyance, getting really hot because we can't get rid of what we don't want, and kapha. I just don't care. Doesn't matter. It's none of my business. Whatever. Kapha's fogging the mind with thoughts that are rooted in ignorance. And it's a tricky one because this can seem to be neutral states, but it's not equanimity. This is an ignorant neutrality. It is not the same as true, real equanimity. It's the ignorance of simply not caring that lulls the mind into sleepiness and dullness. Someone posted on Facebook, just don't watch the news because the news is disturbing your mind, and everyone else is like, huh? But we need to know what's going on and do something about it. It was a very comfort thought. Just don't bother. Just don't get disturbed. So we don't want to try and get rid of those thoughts. That's another pitta thing. That's another aversion. We don't want to get attached to our thoughts. That's just more craving. We want to just notice the quality of the thoughts, not getting into what the thoughts are about, but just noticing the quality of the thoughts. Anxious craving thoughts, irritable thoughts of aversion, dull, heavy thoughts of ignorance. And we can then come into mindfulness. The next step of taming the horse is mindfulness. As we befriend our mind, we can see there is a basic sanity under each kind of thought. Under Vata's craving is our joy, our delight. If we don't chase the fantasies, we can just take delight in all the good things that do manifest. Right now, I'm sitting in the healing room. There's an amaryllis, an orange amaryllis blooming. There is a beautiful Dora kitty listening to my talk with great attention as she purrs. There's sunlight filtering through. I didn't go after these things, but I can enjoy them because they're happening right now. Underneath Pitta's aversion, there's clarity. If we stop trying to get rid of all the unpleasant things, then our tendency to aversion can shift into discrimination. Discrimination can guide us in our choices. And if we can really get underneath covers ignorance and dullness, and it's the hardest one to do, there really is tranquility. We don't identify with turning away from life and just not being bothered. Covers neutrality can become, indeed, a calm tranquility that helps us through all the ups and downs of life. So now we have some concentration, some peacefulness. We can sit still for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We have some awareness and mindfulness and equanimity regarding the flow of thoughts. So now the mind is not tumbling like a waterfall. It's flowing slowly, gently, like the Ganges flows of Varanasi. It's the nature of the mind to think. The mind will always be thinking, just as it's the nature of a river to flow or of a horse to run. So now it's time to get on the horse and take a ride. We're going to use the reins of awareness and mindfulness to guide the mind in the direction that you want to go, not just being carried here and there by whatever thought arises. What are we going to do at this stage of training the mind? We want to cultivate thoughts of loving kindness and compassion. Just doing that simple practice that I love to teach. Breathing in, may I be happy, as you send nurturance to every cell of your body. Breathing out, may all beings be happy, sending love, sending nurturance to the entire world. It's like the sun that shines on everyone without distinction. In that same way, we want to send loving kindness and compassion to all, no distinction of friend and foe. Loving kindness is the wish. May all beings be happy. Compassion is the wish. May all beings be free from suffering. And we have this beautiful Sanskrit prayer. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. May everyone be happy. Sarve santu niramaya. May everyone be free from diseases, from miseries. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. May everyone see the good. Ma kashit dukkha bhag bhavet. May all miseries be destroyed. You can repeat this at the end of your meditation. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kashit dukkha bhag bhavet. Ma kashit Dukkha bhag bhavit. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dora is smiling. She loves to hear me sing, don't you, Dora? Yeah. So, your sitting meditation literally is a training session. You're learning to guide your newly tamed horse gently and in accordance with its own nature, not forcing it. The real test is your everyday life. It's one thing to generate thoughts of love and compassion when you're sitting peacefully in meditation, and another when your 2-year-old just decorated the house with your lipstick. Or one time, my disabled niece thought it was a really good. She came out absolutely beaming. No one knew what she was beaming about. Then there was no oatmeal. Then we realized she had filled all the shoes with oatmeal because she thought that was a really fun thing to do. Or when a co-worker threw a hissy fit. Getting the mind accustomed to move in the direction of love and compassion is where we need to develop patience and perseverance. We have a lifelong habit of dwelling in these three kinds of thoughts. The vata thoughts of craving, the pitta thoughts of anger and aversion, the kapha thoughts of ignorance. So replacing these old habits, this lifetime's habit, it takes time. Through repeated practice, we're actually going to build new synapses. And yeah, there'll be times when it seems like we're just not getting anywhere. And then a crack of light shines through. We see ourselves behaving in fresh and different ways. And we realize our practice has borne fruit. Some years back, I had general anesthesia for surgery on a broken wrist. And when I came back to my senses, I said, "Where am I? I'm thirsty. My arm hurts." And then I literally said, "May all the pains of sentient beings lighten solely upon myself, and may all beings attain enlightenment." I wasn't even properly awake, but I said that. And I knew Dharma works. Patient efforts will lead us to a trained mind until our mind starts to flow effortlessly in the paths of loving kindness. Let's talk for a few moments about something pretty tricky, intrusive thoughts. So you're becoming accustomed to the horse, your mind, and you're getting to know its different paces, but you've got to make sure your mount stays healthy. Intrusive thoughts are a sign that our mind, this fine horse, does need some care. If your meditation is taken over by dark, heavy thoughts about impending catastrophes or your utter worthlessness, even how the world would be better off without you, this is not healthy. This is a symptom of depression. Got to take the horse to the vet. You can't do this all by yourself any more than I could set that broken wrist all by myself. I had to have the surgeon take care of it. So now, if you're getting these kind of intrusive, dark thoughts, get an ally. See an Ayurvedic practitioner, see a psychotherapist. And if you really are having intrusive thoughts about how the world will be better off without you and about ending your own life, please, please find a psychiatrist to be your ally. They'll help you with this. This is a dangerous thought to be having. So if your meditation time leaves you feeling dark and heavy, here's my great suggestion. Instead of sitting, go for a contemplative walk. If you're lucky, like us in Boulder, you can go out into open space. But otherwise, you can go to the park, walk slowly, and just see if you can manage to notice the world around you. Smell the pines, watch the birds, breathe in the fresh air. If the intrusive thoughts do come in, stop. Just stop, stand still, take some deep breaths, look around you, come back to where you are right now. As your doshas become balanced, these intrusive thoughts will cease to trouble you. Your normal practice can be resumed. But please, if you are having intrusive, dark, heavy thoughts, seek help. There's nothing wrong with getting help. So we come to the thought to end all thoughts. After you've gained skill in riding the horse of your mind and guiding that horse in the paths of love and compassion, the new vistas open out. This is really reminding me when I was a little girl, before we moved to Suffolk, we were living in Leicestershire. My parents let us have a weekly riding lesson, and it wasn't dressage or something really boring. We used to go hacking. We used to go with our teacher, me and my sister, in our hard hats and our jodhpurs, and we used to go along the beautiful lanes, among the beautiful walls in beautiful Leicestershire. And the riding teacher would ask me to sing all things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all. She always would have, she'd love me to sing that because we were enjoying our horse and the lovely smell of horse and the gentle riding and the beauty of Leicestershire. So I've just thought of all those beautiful vistas that we explored on the back of our horse or our Shetland pony. So now that you have some concentration, some tranquility, some mindfulness and awareness, some equanimity in working with your thoughts, we're going to add a new quality, and this is self-inquiry. What is the thought to end all thoughts? The thought, who am I? This is the thought that destroys all discursive thoughts. This is the scalpel that cuts out the cancer of illusion. This is the thorn that removes the thorn stuck in our foot. Use a thorn to remove a thorn. That is the teaching. This, who am I, comes from the ancient texts, the Upanishads. We've been studying Upanishads during this series of podcasts. But the practice of self-inquiry has been revived for modern seekers by the great South Indian sage Ramana Maharshi. He died a year before I was born exactly. He died at end of 1950. I was born end of 1951. I always felt there was some connection because of that. And this is a really simple practice, but you have to work up to it. You have to get these other steps first, the sitting, watching your breath, the learning to notice the quality of your thoughts, the being able to direct your horse in paths of loving kindness and compassion. All of these steps have to come first. And then we can start to ask, who am I? Whatever state of mind arises, simply inquire, who is thinking this? Who is feeling this? I am. Who am I? And we're not going to try to answer the question. It's about asking the question. It's not about answering the question with a conceptual thought. Just rest in the question. Rest in the question. If anger arises, ask, who is angry? I am. Who am I? Rest. If joy or rapture arises, don't get carried away by the rapture. Oh, I'm having such a great meditation. I'm so wonderful. I'm really making progress. Just ask, who is experiencing this? I am. Who am I? If sleepiness and dullness arise, I've had so much sleepiness and dullness with the post-surgery fatigue since I had abdominal surgery just recently. So much sleepiness. If sleepiness arises, if you can get awake enough to do it, you have to ask, come on, you got to do this. Who is sleepy? I am. Who am I? When you can rest in that question, who am I? Thought stops. And for just an instant, your true nature shines forth. So when we practice self-inquiry, it brings a freshness and a curiosity to each experience, asking with real interest, who am I? Asking with real interest, who am I? We can penetrate through the density of these ingrained patterns of thought. We go from the thought to the thinker. Where does consciousness arise? Who am I? So this is a whole new step. With the practice of self-inquiry, it's you no longer just have a nice horse that you've trained well, that's going along in good paths. Now your horse becomes Pegasus. It becomes a winged horse. It soars into the immeasurable space of the heart. When you direct your attention from the thought to the thinker, every thought, however trivial, however neurotic, however obsessive, can be transformed into silence and radiant awareness. You awaken to your true nature beyond the conceptual mind. So in each moment that we can practice genuine self-inquiry, the river of thought flows into the vast ocean where the lights of sun and mother merge in one. At first, the yogi feels his mind is tumbling like a waterfall. In the middle, like the Ganges, it flows on slow and gentle. In the end, it is a great, vast ocean where the lights of sun and mother merge in one. Just begin. Just sit, watch your breath, follow the steps. It'll come. Namaste.
Thank you for tuning in to Ayurveda and Spirituality with Alakananda Ma. We hope today's exploration has ignited a spark of curiosity and insight within you. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a 5-star review and share it with a friend. For more enlightening discussions and practical wisdom on Ayurveda and spirituality, subscribe and join our Facebook group, Alundi Ayurveda. To allow us to continue sharing valuable content, consider donating to Alundi Ashram. The links will be in the show notes. Until next time, may you walk the path of Ayurveda with grace and embrace the light of spiritual wisdom in your journey.
Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardanam urvarukamiva bandhanam mrityormukshiyam